Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by The Lines and Play Picks. Coming to you from Oakland, California, Josh Lander. As always, joined by my counterpart on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. Another great article up on playpicks.com for you guys. Remember to like and subscribe for us. Jump in those comments and tell us who you guys are betting on. Having some fun with you guys there. And remember, if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head over to dkpicks.com for DraftKings or fdpicks.com. Find all those available options in your area. And for tonight, on a pretty decent sized slate for the 16th, Nate, let's get it right into those lines.
Yes, sir. Some intriguing games tonight, starting with the Nuggets +3 at our struggling Celtics. The Pelicans are a pick'em at Memphis. The Raptors +5.5 at the Bucks. Lakers -7.5 at Wolves. Anthony Davis has been ruled out for about 2 weeks. The Blazers -6 at the Thunder, who are still without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the Nets hovering around +3 right now as they go on the second half of a back-to-back in Phoenix. That's a game I'm scared to bet, Josh, but I do like a couple of overs. I know you do too. The Milwaukee and Memphis game, particularly intriguing, where we saw those numbers open.
Yeah, and if you were watching the NBA last night, and it's going to repeat itself tonight, apparently all the overs are hitting. Last night was a barrage of points. I'm starting with points, Milwaukee, Toronto. I love everything about this over. I especially love, honestly, it seems odd, but I do like for the fact that Drew Holiday is out for the over for the Bucks. Obviously, a great defensive player. Milwaukee, they play really well at home. They're coming off of a tough road trip, right? And they lost back to back. They're 9-2 at home this year. I expect them to defend that. They're 7-9 on the road, so there's a big disparity there. And at home they have the second best defensive rating. And versus sub 500 teams, which the Raptors are, they are 6-0 with an average of 15 points per game as the margin of their victory there. So really, really good against bad teams. But, Toronto is playing really well against good teams. They combat that by being 9-1 against the best teams in the league this year, which is incredible. But on the road, they're just not going to, they're the third worst defensive rating on the road. And the fifth best offensive rating. They average about 115 and allow 115 as well on the road. So I do see this game going over 230 or in the 235, 240 range. And I'm going to take the over in that game.
The Raptors are not 9-1 against winning teams. I think that's the Nets stat there.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, the Raptors.
Either way, I'm still scared of that total. I did. You're right. I mix up what I'm looking at here, but I did mix up that. But the total still feels really sticky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good segue because I don't trust the Raptors to win by any means. I'm a little wary of a 6-point spread with the Bucks struggling without Drew. But as you mentioned, yeah, their defensive struggles are a real light bulb for the over. They're 23rd in defensive rating, and they're allowing 48.7 points per game to starting backcourts without Drew Holiday. The Raptors obviously playing through Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, who are both red hot. The Bucks, again, struggling to defend the three-point line. All you need really is Toronto to get up around that 115 number. The Bucks are going to probably get over 120 at home with Giannis attacking that soft Raptors defense. So yeah, love the over. And we're talking about parlaying just a Bucks win with the over, and then you get about +170 on your money instead of hoping for that spread to cover. And yeah, the other game we mentioned, Memphis, New Orleans, this opened at 230, which I think everyone just scratched their head and hit, and it's now at 231.5, and I'm sure it'll be rising all day because these teams are playing no defense, particularly the Pelicans, who have a freaking 136 defensive rating while losing 3 straight. I mean, that's just the worst defensive rating of all time, obviously, if extrapolated over a season. And in their last 8 games, I mean, Memphis, since coming off their COVID break, have been playing fast. Obviously, Ja Morant back, and they have not been playing much defense. In that span, they're 25th in defensive rating. The Pelicans are 28th. They're 27th in three-point percentage allowed. Pelicans are 28th. And offensively, they're 9th in offensive rating, and the Pelicans are 2nd in that span. Lastly, to look at the record, the Pels are 18-2 against the over in their last 20 games. They've just been money in that regard, and Zion scoring at a highly efficient rate. I think we have to trust that over.
And it's always going to be fun when former number 1 and number 2 overall picks are going up against each other, especially two guys that are taking over the league in Morant and Williamson. Yeah, that over at 230 coming out was very tasty, and I like it just as much at 231.5. Absolutely. Moving on to a game, Nate, that has a team that doesn't play much defense itself in Brooklyn. They're without KD again tonight against Phoenix in Phoenix, in the middle of a really brutal 5-game road trip that they're on right now. And Phoenix is in the midst of cruising through their 7-game homestand right now. They're 6-0 in that span as they play the seventh and final game of that homestand tonight against Brooklyn. In that time frame, they've been the Chris Paul team, what we expected them to be at the beginning of the season, keeping the pace down, bottom 5 in pace, but still having a top 10 offensive rating. And at home, they really protect the house, right? 6th best net rating overall at home between offense and defense, really good. And they don't allow opponents to score from 3 or even in the paint. For that matter, they're top 3 in all the important defensive 3-point categories: percentage, three pointers made and attempted, and even in points in the paint, as I mentioned, top 2 in the last 10 or so. So really the Chris Paul effect is back. They're 15-8 against the spread this season, and they've hit the spread in their last 7. So I'm really liking them to be able to cover against a team that really needs Kevin Durant to be able to score the ball outside the 3-point line, other than outside the 3-point line.
I really like this as like a betting 101 example of playing the schedule. I think you've crunched some really good numbers there in terms of Phoenix homestand, Nets road trip, Nets on a back-to-back. However, Harden and Kyrie Irving absolutely defy all basketball logic. They will lose to teams they're not supposed to. They will blow out teams. As we mentioned, they are 9-1 against teams with winning records. I think both of them have no problem playing on a back-to-back. They are absolutely lifetime hoopers. I am not trusting the Suns to win this game, but what I am trusting is Chris Paul to come out and put up his best numbers. You look at his recent numbers in close games for the Suns, and he is going well over his props. We're looking at 16.5 points or 21.5 points in rebounds at FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm hitting both of those, and I have no doubt that Chris Paul, barring foul trouble or injury, is going to get over those props. Finally, an intriguing game. I'm not feeling super confident in terms of the amount of units I'm willing to bet here, but the feisty OKC Thunder. Without SGA, they are just still rolling. They've been disrespected by the spread routinely, but they've covered in 8 of their last 9 against winning teams. 5 straight covers when at least a 4-point underdog. And they match up well against the Blazers. They've actually won 3 straight, including one this year. They're holding Dame Lillard to 27.8% three-point shooting in those contests. And just without SGA, we see this a lot in the NBA, right? The stars are out. The guys who are playing for their NBA lives just come out with an amazing effort. And their defensive rating is 100.3. That would be the best in the league without SGA in 5 games versus 113.8 when he plays. They allow the fewest free throw attempts. They allow the second fewest fast break points. They're 5th in 3-point defense. I actually like the under if it creeps up a little bit here. Right now at 226, I would think about hitting that late, and I'm not the only one who thought about hitting the Thunder at +7 because it's dropping right now given their recent results as underdogs.
Yeah, it's a good theory to play on. Obviously, a little bit of addition by subtraction when other players have to step up in the absence of a guy like SGA, who continues to be rumored as someone who could end up on another team and be really, really helpful. He's just carrying them on offense, but as you said, things open up a little bit and their defense tightens up. So I don't love it myself, but I'll trust you to bet against Dame Lillard tonight. One quick hit for you, Nate. The Lakers, an interesting trend that I know I think we're both looking at is how well they're playing in the second half. They're taking on, that feisty Timberwolves team who's not very good, but in Minnesota, it's a pretty small spread at about 8 if you consider the disparity between these teams. But I'm not that confident in it. You've seen a lot of LeBron slowing down the first half, pacing himself for the second half. So one thing to look at is live betting that game, sort of monitoring what happens towards the end of the first half and seeing if the Lakers are down or, even very close and you can get a really small spread there or get a decent odds on the money line. That might be something I'm looking at as well.
Yeah, great call. And that brings us to DFS with Anthony Davis out. Obviously, LeBron is a primo option, but I think you got to get Kyle Kuzma in there at value if you can't get LeBron. And go back to that OKC game. Point Papa Al Horford, 8+ assists in 3 of 4 games without SGA. He is a strong option at the center position. Also can look at Kenrick Williams or Justin Jackson for some value there. And Chris Paul, if we think he's getting over his props, we think he's putting up good fantasy point numbers. A couple more values. Grayson Allen has been hot his last four in a game with that we expect to go over out in Memphis. And the Nuggets are down Will Barton and Paul Millsap in Boston. So JaMychal Green, Michael Porter Jr. are in line for extended run.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of overs continuing to hit makes DFS even more fun. We'll be monitoring all that stuff for you guys. That's all the time we have. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button for us and jump in the comments tonight. Let us know who you're betting on. We'll be looking to get a gift card out there pretty soon, so stay tuned. And we'll be back with another show for you guys tomorrow. As for tonight, happy betting.